Well, another year has come and gone, and it's time for me to ramble on about video games again. Really wish I could get these out more often. It's kinda awkward having only these kinds of lists as the centerpiece for my own channel. I swear I'm working on other stuff! In any case, the title is pretty obvious at this point. Any game is qualified as long as I initially played it this year. Granted, all but one of them was actually released this year, but you'll see for yourself soon enough. Let's get started.
Number 10.
I know with things like with personal lists, reviews, and even opinions in general, we're all prone to some form of bias whether we like to admit it or not. But it definitely says something that I would place a game on here or even get that under normal circumstances I probably wouldn't even consider. Namely due to the fact that I don't take horror games, videos, what have you very well. Basically, I scare really easily and I don't like being scared. Takes a really good and really talented friend of mine to voice act in one for me to even try to pretend not to be frightened. Because within an hour or so of playing Perception, I was like, nope, 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 nope. Thankfully, the newer story mode helped me move along to eventually finish the game, despite still leaving me very tense in certain amounts, which, again, doesn't take much. But then again, I wouldn't expect anything less from former devs of games like BioShock and Dead Space. And just to be even a bit more biased, I'm going to plug my friend in the description below. Send her all of the compliments. And hey, for what it does in terms of story and navigation through Sonar Vision, it's really great. But similar to games like Journey and Abzu, this is a pretty one and done kind of game, assuming you are not let's playing, reviewing, etc, which is why it's not any higher. Well, that and to keep the shameless plugging under control.
Now what do you want from me?
Let's move on.
Number 9.
Fire Emblem has been really having it good as of late. Not too long after Awakening and Fates, we now have a remake of the second game on the 3DS, which also saw its first official overseas release, a successful mobile game, and a Warriors spin-off for the newly released Switch. Sadly, Heroes won't be sharing the spotlight as mobile games aren't really my thing, and I was considering Echo Shadow of Valentia as part of a tie, until I realized that Warriors ate my free time a whole lot easier. And it was for one major reason. All of the chaotic and destructive dumb fun that goes on in the game. Yeah, it's the bread and butter of any Warriors game, and there can be a fair argument made that Hyrule Warriors did a better job, but I don't really care. I'm going to crush thousands of enemies with Lissa. That alone is worth $60. Anything more is a bonus. And yes, I did get the season pass with the game because I'm a hopeless modern Fire Emblem fan. And proud of it.
Number 8.
Splatoon 2 was a bit hard to rank. On one hand, it's a solid early entry in the Switch's lineup. Salmon Run is a great new mode, and the game is just as enjoyable as the first one. That being said, it's not any higher because it's mostly the same as Splatoon 1, which is mostly noticeable if you owned it prior to 2. Salmon Run is only available during certain times, and the campaign mode did take a step back, that backward step being the navigation in between stages. The rest is alright. And like before, there's still more to come in free updates and more Splatfests, which I need to stop missing. And that's it. I honestly wish I could say more about a game I hold in high regard for this year, but chances are if you're a Switch owner or have yet to get one but enjoyed the original, this game will certainly be for you, as it was for me.
Number 7.
This next one is kind of interesting. I didn't expect to like Sonic Mania as much as I actually did, and not because I had doubts about the game, it's classic Sonic as many know and love him after all. But not only am I more into modern Sonic, yes, I'm crazy, I know, I'm not exactly good at most games that came before the 6th generation of consoles. Now I've been playing games since the original Game Boy and PC back when it was Windows 95, which doesn't make sense at all. But this has been a great experience as this is the first classic Sonic game I've beaten as well as gone supersonic in a 2D game. Well played, devs! Speaking of, the devs in question started off doing fan hacks of ROMs. Christian Whitehead and Simon Tomley of Headcanon definitely did a nice job, as well as T-Lopes and Hyper Potions for the music. In addition to revamped versions of older stages from various classic games, including Green Hill and Chemical Plant for the 100th time because of contractual obligations or so helps Sega, but also some incredible brand new stages as well. My personal favorites are Studiopolis and Press Garden if anyone is curious. It's still pretty sad in hindsight that a team of fans turned developers did a much better job at a Sonic game than the team that was supposed to be in ownership of the franchise. And for the record, I do think Sonic Forces is good enough and can still be fun, even though it was disappointing and should have been much better than it actually was. Just thought I should bring mention to that, even though that won't stop people from debating in the comments. What have I done?
Number 6.
We got a new Metroid game! We got a new Metroid game! We got a new Metroid game! But what about Federation Force? What about Federation Force? But in all seriousness, Federation Force is not bad, but it should have been released after this game, or at least come after some sort of announcement. The timing of that was just the worst. But hey, if Samus were to make a comeback, why not a remake of Metroid 2? Return of Samus. I see what they did there. But yeah, this game is amazing. However, it pulls no punches. This is a pretty hard game, and I recommend playing at least Fusion and Zero Mission first, which are on the Wii U Virtual Console if you're like me and still own one. That being said, I love the new Aeon abilities as well as all the returning staples. They even came up with some interesting new uses for some of them, especially the grapple beam. It's a great retelling of the second game and has everything that fans like myself love about Metroid in the first place. Here's hoping Prime 4 does the same. And after that, how about a game set after Fusion? Please?
Number 5.
I've never been as excited for a Mario game as I was for Odyssey. Prior to 3D World, I've been on and off with Mario games, and I have only been given the franchise some attention recently. I know, I'm crazy. But dang, this is really good! While I am nowhere near completion in collecting all the Power Moons, seriously there's a lot of them, I was having a blast and the stupidest grin on my face for the whole adventure. There's so much to do and explore here, and at no point does the game drag things out, which is something that often turns me away from the more open-ended games. And while the entire concept of Mario capturing enemies with Cappy is frankly downright disturbing, it does make for incredible variety in platforming and exploration. Whether it's being a T-Rex, beating up Bowser's wedding planners, or New Donk City as a whole, there was no better time to jump aboard Mario's latest adventure. Hats off to you, Nintendo! And yes, that pun was totally intentional.
Number 4.
As I mentioned earlier, if it weren't for this one game, this may as well be my top 10 favorite games of 2017. But I figured with the collections now on PS4, I might as well get into Kingdom Hearts. That and it was recommended to me a bunch by a good friend of mine, and it was certainly an adventure. While the series as a whole has been a great time, I'm going to have to give special mention to Kingdom Hearts 2. This is where the Disney multiverse starring Nomura's OCs and featuring various Final Fantasy characters goes full out shonen anime, in combat, in reaction commands, and plenty of spiky hair for good measure. Sadly, you can't really start with this one because of plot reasons, which amounts to
darkness. 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 The darkness. Darkness.
But other than that, this is Kingdom Hearts at its finest. Heck, this is an action-based RPG at its finest. Definitely has me excited for Kingdom Hearts 3, whenever that decides to come out. Just get yourself familiarized with that dastardly plot, otherwise this will be you the entire time.
What's going on?
I often wonder that myself, Roxas.
Number 3.
When Even Gears for Breakfast, the creators of A Hat in Time, goes and advertises the game as cute as heck, you pretty much know what you're getting yourself into. And it is indeed cute as heck, especially with anything involving Hat Kid. And I mean anything involving Hat Kid. From her cute little quips To her making all sorts of new hats, to all of the knickknacks around her ship, and all of the shenanigans she gets herself into from beating up the mafia. Yes, this is a thing. To being a guest star from 2 rivaling bird movie productions, to getting her soul back from this boogeyman guy, which leads to fighting a possessed toilet and... oh god! As for the game itself, it's a love letter to past 3D platformers and beyond. Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Psychonauts, the list goes on. Down to the incredibly fluid controls and neat little upgrades in form of the hats and the badges you can put on them. A much needed, charming adventure that can be a great fit for anyone. Except if you're EA that seems to only care about multiplayer games with gambling, loot boxes.
Number 2.
Very few games have gotten me as emotionally invested as Nier Automata. This has been my first experience with Yoko Taro's work, and I must say the dude's a genius. A mad genius to be sure, but still brilliant nonetheless. In a post-apocalyptic world filled with androids and rusted robots, one would think it would be nothing but bleakness and stale environments, but this game dares and succeeds to challenge that notion. That goes double for the characters. For beings that aren't supposed to have emotion, they certainly act more human than actual humans. Well, in terms of some fictional characters anyway. And the combat is top notch, although I wouldn't expect anything less from Platinum Games. Similar to Super Mario Odyssey, a lot of this game is open-ended. Sure, you have your main plot and the quests that go along with it, but there are plenty of side quests and extra hidden goodies if you explore off the beaten path, or accidentally run into them if you got lost. It's also one of the few games that I have played that have gotten the play the game multiple times to get the full story thing not only right, but something that I honestly can't see the game without. If Square Enix can keep the tag team of Yoko Taro and Platinum going for more games, Nearverse or otherwise, consider the next title a day one purchase from me.
Number 1.
With an Atlas RPG finally under my belt, albeit a very unexpected but entertaining crossover, I finally had the Shin Megami Tensei and Persona games on my radar. While the 5th Shin Megami Tensei game is still in the works for the Switch, my timing couldn't have been any better for the release of Persona 5 for the PlayStation 4. And it's so good! What's good exactly? Basically everything! The art style, the story, the characters, the overworld, which is almost one-to-one with the real-life Tokyo. Good on you, Atlas. The palaces, the battles, all the personas you can fight and use, the new skills you can learn, and the music is amazing! Heck, the only reason why I'm not playing this way more often is because of both my backlog and my schedule. Even though my playthrough is clocked in at over 90 hours, it felt like it went through like a snap. And that's when a game is at its peak for me, when I don't realize how much time I've actually spent on it unless if I looked at a clock or the game's timer. When a game is so good that when it ends, my next thought is, I want to play this again as soon as possible. When a game is so good that only a backlog and daily responsibilities can keep me away from it. Yeah, Persona 5 is among the all-time best for me, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Probably should get some of the other games while I'm at it. Maybe even an entry into the predecessor series? Who knows? But I'm excited nonetheless. That's all for now, everyone. Until next time, have yourself a wonderful day, and take care.